So I'm out in the garden and I'm working on a few projects, but one of them was to trellis the squash in the bed right below that little birdhouse, and there's a wren pair building a nest there, so I don't want to disturb them. They're really busy with that, and I really don't want to discourage any of my feathered friends from coming around here and giving me a hand with bugs. So I'm going to move on to my next project, which is filling up my new raised bed. So it's one of these metal, I got it from Tractor Supply on clearance for like $24. It'll pretty much last forever, so it's not a bad buy. And I've got two bigger ones already in the garden. Even though this is smaller than my other bins, it would still take quite a substantial amount of dirt to fill up. I'd say 8 to 10 bags at least. There are two reasons I'm not going to do that. The first is that it's expensive, and the other is that I can have it retain moisture and have more fertility by building a mini Hugelkultur garden. So here's the first of my supplies. A couple little rotten logs fell down out of the tree today in the rain. Rotten logs are awesome. They're like a giant sponge. So these are going to go in the very bottom. As you can see, that didn't really add too much bulk to the pile, but now I'm going to add some brush. I've got a whole pile of brush left over from when they cut down the trees the other day for me. So now you can see I've got a nice layer of brush in there. There are some twiggy branches, but it's mostly leaves. If you happen to just have a big pile of leaves remaining from raking in the fall, you could dump those in instead. Just kind of filling in some nooks and crannies and adding a little more bulk and future nutrients to the bin. So now we have our compost filling all but the top several inches. This is unfinished compost. You wouldn't want to try to plant seeds into it. You could potentially fill it the whole way with unfinished compost if you were planting something like a tomato, but I would not recommend this idea for putting in seeds or very small seedlings. This compost has reached the point where it's no longer hot or active. It's just steady, so it's not too hot for the plants. But we are not going to fill it the rest of it with compost. We are going to fill it the rest of the way with finished composted cow manure and soil that I have sitting here in the yard. I'm saying we, but obviously only one of us is doing the work, and it is not Poppy. Right, Poppy? Poppy? You going to do the work? No, she's not going to do the work. You gonna bring the wagon over, Pops? So there we are. It's pretty full now. I could still stand to use one more bag, but I don't have another bag. So this is what we have. It doesn't hurt to be a few inches below the surface because you can always put a lot of mulch on top of whatever you plant. You know, a good ½ inch to an inch of mulch to really help conserve water. So I'm not too stressed about it being a little low. Now you're probably thinking, there's no way this will work and I won't grow anything. So let me show you this. These are zinnias from seed I saved from last year, and gomphrenia, and my new rosemary plant. I paused for a second because I was looking, oh, and my baby sage. I couldn't find him for a minute. So these guys are doing just great in here. The gomphrenia and the zinnia both grew in here from seed. The sage is a winter sown plant that I transplanted in there. And the rosemary, I bought them from some nursery. They're doing okay, although this one has something going on. I think those are roots. Look at that. I think it's been so wet that he thought he should root himself. But anyway, so as you can see, being a couple inches of logs and debris on the bottom, topped by a couple inches of half-finished compost, topped by a couple inches of soil and finished compost, they're growing just fine. So I'm about done in the garden here because I'm about to have an unexpected and very exciting guest. My nephew's going to come visit. But I thought I'd show you two more cool things that have nothing to do with hugelkultur. That is a sweet potato blossom. They do blossom. And there's a couple on here. Now, one thing you may not be aware of, because I didn't used to be, is that you can actually eat the sweet potato leaves as a green. And there are some Asian cultures that grow sweet potatoes just for the greens, and they don't care about the tubers. Trouble and the girls are definitely in that camp. They have their own sweet potato vines over by their pen, and they keep them kind of pruned for me. And I still get a great harvest off of them, but that's not really why they're there. They're just for them to eat the greens. So I thought I'd show you that. And then I have one more thing to show you. So the other thing I wanted to show you are these garbanzo beans, also called chickpeas. I've grown them for the first time this year, and you can leave them all on the vine until it turns brown and then harvest them as a dry bean, but I'm trying them green. So the green garbanzo beans are apparently a delicacy. You can eat them in the pod, but I'm going to shell them and make up a dish for my Grow It, Eat It challenge.